Okay, looks like we're live. Good. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Woohoo, Tuesday. We're making our way through the week. So I'm actually in my real office today. You can see it's a different environment. So I hope you can hear and see me okay. And I'm using some new equipment here. Let me turn my phone off. That just reminded me. So we've got some great training for you today. If you followed along yesterday or any other day that we've been doing this, this is the 3-point power profile, and we are going to help you dress up your LinkedIn profile so that when you're out there messaging, communicating, connecting, posting, doing whatever things that you're doing to build your LinkedIn account. Apologize for that. I don't know if you heard that or not, but there's a car alarm going off. This is what you need. So before I get into the training, let me bring on Mr. Ronan Rahman. There you are.
Hey, who's still in his dungeon.
Yes, I'm out of the dungeon and into the real world today.
Yeah. So today, like you said, we're going to dress up your profile to get it ready to go out.
Absolutely.
And just as we go through this, just a reminder that we're live. So make sure you leave notes, comments. We do circle back. If you ask a question, we'll answer it. And then also, if you joined us yesterday and you came up with a headline, which we'll bring up a little bit today, post the headline so we can see it and comment on it and give you some coaching on that. But with that, I'm going to scoot out of here and let you do your thing.
Awesome. Okay. Excuse me. So today we are going over the 3-point power profile. Now, with a LinkedIn profile, there are literally dozens of little items and areas that we could go into and cover. We don't have time for that today. We do a 15-minute training each morning. And so what we want to do is cover the 3 most top of mind areas of your profile to make sure you have those 3 dialed in, because that's the first impression that people are going to have of you, excuse me, when they visit you on LinkedIn. And so you want to really have these 3 dialed in. It's not that much work on your part. It probably will take less than an hour. I just want to share with you what those things are. And so what I'm going to do is show you some examples of 3 to 4 other profiles, and I'm going to explain with each one of them how they've incorporated the 3-point power strategy. So with that, Ronan, if you would share my screen, I will pull up my handy dandy slides and get into this. So the first part of the 3-point power profile is your picture. Okay, it's called a profile image, or sometimes people will call it a social media headshot. And that's that image of you in the circle. And this image exists pretty much across all social media platforms. And on LinkedIn in particular, this image is seen quite a lot because anytime you post or comment or message, it goes along with all those pieces, all those activities. So you want to make sure this is dialed in. And so the best way to do this, and we say this each week, is have a professional photographer create your image. They know what they're doing, especially if you tell them you're using this for your social media headshot. They know all about those things and they'll take great care of you. But if you do not use a professional photographer, or even if you do, here's what you want to look out for. There's 4 specific things. Number 1 is your background. You want your background to be plain, okay? Like you can see here on Dana's profile, her background is this plain sort of charcoal gray. It's perfect. It looks great. You could use a background like what's behind me, which is just pretty much white. That can also work. You want it to be non-distracting. We see a lot of times people putting fancy stuff in the background, like a bookcase full of books, or landscape scenery, or a nice big painting or something like that. You really don't want to have those things in the background, because it takes the focus away from what the point of this photograph is, and that's you. Number 2, you want it to be close up, pretty much a shoulder, a shoulder and above shot, so that we can see you. Your face is what's important here, and not anything else. So don't put like a full body shot in there, because a lot of times this image is seen on a mobile device in a really small format and you can't see it. And so if you're showing a full body shot, you're going to look like a little stick figure. So don't do that. All right, number 3 is your facial expression. You want to have what we call an inviting facial expression. Okay, now inviting can mean a lot of different things, right? Inviting usually on a face means something like a smile of some kind, but there's all different styles and shapes and sizes and of smiles, right? If you look at my profile, I have this huge, big smile, but that's my personality and just works for me. But for most people, it's whatever smile comes naturally to you. It doesn't have to be a smile, but that's a pretty good bet that it's going to be more inviting than any other look. So there's and you might want to even run your photographs, maybe a few of them, by your friends and family, and ask them for their opinion. What makes you look the most inviting? And they'll give you, they will definitely give you their opinion. And then finally, dress up for the occasion. Okay, whatever occasion that is. Now, yesterday we talked about your market to message match. So whatever matches your market, that's how you want to look, right? You want to show up as if you are being presented in front of your ideal prospects, your market. And so that could mean a suit and tie, that could mean a polo shirt, that could mean a pantsuit, whatever it means in your market. Okay, so I'm not going to give you any specific dress code advice. Other than that, is just match it with your market and make sure. And that's also part of being inviting, right? It's showing up and being relevant to who it is, excuse me, that you want to connect with. All right, that's all the detail I'm going to go into here on the photo. So, but now you know what to look for. And if you look at your photograph on your profile image and it does not meet all those criteria, then maybe have a professional make a new one or have a friend make a new one for you. Now you know what to look for. All right, the second part of the 3-point power profile is, of course, that large, big image across the top of your LinkedIn profile. It's called a cover image. And the cover image is a great place for you to have kind of a billboard style message. So think billboard on the freeway. And also I'll think about someone driving by that thing at about 80 miles an hour. So there's a very short period of time for you to make a point, get a message across. Okay. And so the largest part of this ought to likely be a photograph of some kind, an image of some kind. Not a lot of words, because people aren't going to read all that up there. So you can see on Dana's profile, we have a background image that is pleasant, and it also shows a little bit of her personality. She spends a lot of time with her 10-year-old son doing cool stuff outdoors and things like that. So we chose an image that sort of represents her in that way and is also something inviting and relates to her ideal target audience. And so, you could do something like that too. And you can find images like this on a lot of different stock photography websites. I'm not going to go into all the details of those, but just look up stock photography. You'll see a whole bunch of them. The second part about this cover image is, I mentioned, don't use a lot of words. If you're going to use any words at all, make sure that they're easy to read, big and bold, a font style that doesn't, no one has to squint at. And keep it short. 3 to 5 words is really all you want to have. And so in the case of Dana, she's got real relatable results. That works very well here. You can easily read the black color on the black font color on the background that she's got. So just be mindful of all that stuff. I see a lot of people putting text onto billboards on the freeway, even not let alone LinkedIn accounts, and it's just not that readable. It's either too scripted and it's hard to read, or it's not the right color, so it doesn't really pop off the page. So just make sure that it's easy to read. And then finally, go ahead and, if you're in business, put your logo here. Just make sure it's not like a huge logo. I see people filling like half of their LinkedIn cover images with their logo. No one cares other than you about your logo, honestly. The only thing it does do is it does tell the world that you actually are in business, and that's cool. So go ahead and use it. Dana used her logo here in the corner. So those are some things to think about on your cover image. I'm going to show you some other examples, and I'll explain those as well, because there's a lot of different ways you can approach this. Okay, and then the third part it is actually a 3-part power profile. So the third part is your headline. Now, we went over yesterday, your market to message match, and a formula that we use to create headlines, essentially. And so if you look below Dana's name, you can see her headline. I'll read it here. It says, "Get your weekends and evenings back while building a wildly successful accounting, bookkeeping, CFO, or law firm." Now, I'm not going to go and unpack everything about her headline. We did some of that yesterday. So if you want to, figure out and get a sort of a training on how to write these, look at our training from yesterday. It's still posted live. But the real point here is make sure you update your headline. It comes when you don't update your headline on LinkedIn. All it's going to show is your business title, like president, owner, whatever your title is, and then a comma, and then your company name. And that doesn't tell us anything about you. And you really need to update this. And the headline is arguably the most important part of your 3-point power profile, because everything you do on LinkedIn, when you make a connection request, the person on the receiving end of that, they see your headline. When you make a comment on a LinkedIn post, everybody that reads your comment sees your headline. When you post anything on LinkedIn, everybody sees your headline. It is literally carried along with you almost everywhere you go, everything you do on LinkedIn. And it's a very easy way for you to connect immediately with the people that you want to have a conversation with. So use it, and use it very, very well. And so watch the training from yesterday. We talk a lot about that and go deep. Okay, I'm going to move on and show you a couple of other examples of some LinkedIn profiles that also match all this criteria. So here's Sergio Chavez. Sergio is a brilliant online advertising professional. He actually runs all of our Google, YouTube, and Facebook advertising. And we've referred him to many clients. He does a great job. And so I'm not going to go into his profile photo. It's pretty much the same conversation I would have had. His smile is a little different than Dana's. It works for him, right? His mouth is pretty much closed, whereas Dana's is a little open. Like I said, there's lots of different styles of smiles. But let me talk about his cover image, because he chose not to use any words or even put his logo in there. And it actually works really well for him, because this is a different approach where, if you work hand in hand with clients, one-on-one with clients, like Sergio does, this is a cool approach where it's kind of an over-the-shoulder look. This is Sergio, right? Over his shoulder as to what it might look like working with him in an actual business setting. So here he is with a client. He's got a laptop up and some charts and graphs in the background. So you can't really see exactly what's going on, but you get the sense that, okay, there's some analytics going on here. This is an actual working scene, and it really connects you to who he is, what his style is, and what he does. And so that's okay. So that works very well too. And of course, he has a custom headline that we wrote. During this campaign, he was attracting healthcare service providers. And so his reads, "Real results for healthcare service providers using Google Ads without the usual nonsense you've experienced with others." Now, his campaign has since changed. He is now focused on attracting e-commerce companies. And as we talked about yesterday, you can actually change your campaign on LinkedIn. We don't recommend doing it any more than every 90 days or so, but you can. And so you might go after one market for 90 days and then switch it to a different market for another 90 days. So that's just, I'll just repeat that point, because we went over that yesterday a bit. All right, let me show you Ronan's cover and his LinkedIn profile. So again, great looking professional photograph. Works really well for Ronan. He also chose not to really use any words on his cover image. He's in the business, like me, of setting up appointments with businesses. So he's got, what looks like he's setting up an appointment here with a nice fountain pen with somebody for lunch. So that kind of connects to what he does. And of course, our logo in the corner. And then finally, his headline, I'll read it to you. It says, just in case you're on a small device, that's why I read these out loud. So I'm not reading it to you because I don't think you can read, but some of you might be looking at this from your little iPhones or something like that. So his headline reads, "Guaranteed appointments with IT decision makers at 25 plus $1 million US based companies, so you can focus on IT solutions. Okay, and then I'm going to show you one other headline or one other LinkedIn profile. It stands out because it's unique in a lot of ways, and this is for Shannon Graham. I had mentioned that you want to have a well-lit look about your face and your cover image. Well, sometimes you can also use lighting to your advantage to help express your brand identity. And in this case, Shannon has done a great job of that, where kind of almost half his face is sort of shaded or in a shadow. But it just works for his brand. He's got this really sharp and powerful look. It's, black is obviously a primary color that he uses. And so it just works really great for Shannon. And so don't be afraid to think out of the box a bit and make sure that whatever you do, it fits your brand, your personality as well. Again, he's using just a few words on his cover, transformational coaching for visionary leaders. It's easy to read, it pops, and his logo off to the right-hand side. And I will also read you his headline just so you get another sense of what a different headline. His headline reads, "Corner Man for CEOs, I protect your investments by getting peak performance from your founders." So those are 4 different examples of how you can incorporate this 3-point power profile strategy. And like I said, there are a lot of other things that you can and should do with your LinkedIn profile. But if you just do these 3 before you get started, or if you already have started, just making some updates to your to these 3 areas, it could go a long way. We've actually had experiences where we've updated these 3 items on a LinkedIn profile, and within a week, someone's calling them saying, "Hey, I saw your headline," or "I want to learn more about what you do." So I'm going to come back to my video here. There we go. And I was just going to ask Ronan to join me, and there he is.
I'm on autopilot. Here's the thing about the suggestions and the 3-point power profile. We don't network as much as we do in person. We're not networking in person as much. And so that one was mine. This is how you would present yourself. If you're going out and doing live events, right? You don't dress up in a tank top. And unless there's some theme, right? You don't dress up in your tank top.
Unless it's a pool party.
Right. It's, unless it's consistent with what everybody else is doing, right? But you would dress appropriately. This is essentially dressing appropriately to go out in the world and network. It's just in the digital virtual space. So that's why I think this is like really important, and it should not be something that's really burdensome. Yeah, you got to go out, you got to get your headshot taken, but you want to do that anyway because you have other mediums and other platforms that you're going to use that photo for. And when you set up the right banner, you don't have to change it. I've had that banner up on my profile. I don't know. I don't see it changing. There's no reason to change it for what I'm doing. So regardless of my headline, I may update my headline based on the campaign that I'm running, but for the most part, it just stays there and it does the job. So I would encourage everybody to take the time and do it. I see way too many profiles with the nothing at the top that LinkedIn gives you, and headshots that look like you got pushed up against a wall, more like a mugshot than a headshot, and it just looks like you don't care. So 2 cents.
Excellent. Well, tomorrow we will be back at 9 a.m. Pacific time with our messaging training. And so for that training, we're gonna unpack a little bit about what to say, how to say it, both in the connection message and follow-up messages, and even how to set appointments. So tune in tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and we would love to have you join us.